South Africa has a problem that I think should be solved and avoided at all cost. And it's this leaning on traditional spiritual African beliefs, the Sangomas, the Ndumbas, the whole uprising of now worshipping and turning back to their ancestors after all these years that has taken place in this country for the last 15 years and has risen to the highest point it's been in a very long time, where all of a sudden everybody's a Sangoma, everybody has to go get initiated or something. Everybody has to now go to the river and slaughter a chicken and talks about snakes and little people visiting them all the time. This is a problem where people are living in terror of what will happen if they don't follow the calling, if they don't follow their ancestors, if they don't slaughter this, if they don't put up that, if they don't spill blood for this, if they don't do such and such a practice, if they don't join a certain group, if they don't give up their child to be initiated here and there. I think this is a very bad practice that is coming back. And people won't like this, but traditional African spiritual beliefs are the same as any other traditional belief all over the world. African people in South Africa think somehow they found something new, special, or some sort of revelation, something returning them back to some sort of culture that they were. What they don't realize or fail to realize is that spiritual traditions have existed everywhere, from the Druids to the pagans of Europe, to all sorts of beliefs throughout Asia and the Aztecs in South America. All these traditional beliefs have existed and they're very similar to the traditions in Africa. In my opinion, ancient traditional spiritual beliefs are actually one religion in different segments. And now the Africans are returning back to this worship in a traditional way. And I can tell you 5 reasons why it's bad for South Africa and it's not something we should embrace at all. And the 5 reasons I'm going to list are as follows. First, it's a twisted morality. Second, it creates a low trust community. Third, it has already lost the battle. Fourth, it's hyper feminine. And fifth, it's made up. So let's get into it. The first reason we should reject outright this rise of African spiritualism that has overtaken South Africa is this. It creates a twisted morality. What do I mean by that? I mean that it takes the things the human believes to be wrong and calls them right, in that it sets up a sacrifice society where everything has to be sacrificed to get something out of it. It sets up the sort of twisted morality that works against other people. Because in this morality of African spiritualism, you are supposed to get what you want by taking from others. The same sort of people that follow this tradition will talk for hours about Ubuntu and how we're supposed to treat others and how we are because they are and blah, blah, blah. When, in fact, when they go into their little traditional huts and they ask for things and they throw bones, what they're asking for and what they're practicing is a morality that says to get something someone else has to lose. That's the whole morality it creates. It is a twisted sort of morality that in everything that you do to get something, you have to spill blood, you have to exchange something, and someone has to lose. It has to be taken from somewhere and from someone. For you to gain, your morality is twisted so that other people have to lose. They can also not gain. And it also allows for you to do all manner of bad things to them, whether they are spiritual, whether you send something towards them spiritually, whether you believe these things work or not is irrelevant because those people believe them and their morality is twisted already because they think they are sending someone something bad so that someone would die or that they would lose their car or that they would lose their house or that they would not get that job or that they would fall sick so that they can gain something. It's a twisted morality that develops, and it is the foundation of such ancient African beliefs. That is why they went away for so long. But with the resurgence thereof, those sort of things are back. And we don't need that sort of thing in South Africa, because that is a twisted mentality of preying on other people to get what you want, whether spiritually, physically, or mentally. This is not the way forward. This is how societies die. Point 2, why the rise of African spirituality again and the ancient beliefs and worshipping of the ancestors is bad, is that it creates a low trust community, because it has generated a twisted morality where if someone wants something, they have to sacrifice or exchange something, and someone else has to lose something or give up something, whether it's their own life, their health, their house, or some sort of peace, something else. It creates a low trust community. Let me give you an example. If someone walks into your house and they spit on the ground or they cough in a funny way, that could be some sort of incantation. That could be some sort of way that they are cursing you or casting a spell or laying something down, a marker for some sort of spiritual curse or something like that. This is how these beliefs work. If someone gets sick in your house, it's never just someone got sick. It's such and such sent something my way. And everyone in that case is a suspect. If they act a little funny, if they say something off at a family function, it's not just someone said something off or something you didn't understand. It's, yeah, this person is looking to send something my way. This is what these ancient beliefs propagate, because that's how they work, you see. They are built on this sort of jealousy and taking from one to gain for yourself. So what develops in that sort of belief system? You can't trust your neighbor, because if you plant some sort of tree and it grows really fast, maybe he's put something in there to sort of get the whole community. If you hear something in your roof or in your ceiling, it must be them sending something at night. If someone loses their job in your house, it must be that cousin that always hated him. We don't know if he always hated him. Maybe he just doesn't like the guy. But it must be him, and he's so jealous he wanted your son to lose his job. These sort of spiritual beliefs create low trust communities. That is an enemy of advancement, because in any society that's prospering, you need a high trust community. And high trust communities win because they build great societies and great countries. These sort of beliefs have already lost that fight, which leads us to our third reason why we should not return to them and not take them on. We have a new course available for our boys. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18. It's called the Men of the Bible course, Manhood, Masculinity, and Becoming a Man. We take the boys through 12 stories of men from the Bible, pulling out negative lessons, positive lessons, and then one major lesson. We round off each lesson with notable points on doctrine and theology. We need our young men to become men. Third, the worship of the ancestors and African spiritual beliefs have already lost the fight against colonialism. These people brought in here not Western religions, but Middle Eastern religions, the religion particularly of Christianity in this regard, which is the juxtaposed to these spiritual beliefs of the ancestors. Christianity creates a high trust community. Let me show you how. 2 examples. If someone does you wrong, you forgive them. You don't curse them and try get them back and send something their way. And if you want something, you don't have to make someone else lose something. You must just go out, ask God, and do it yourself. These ideas have already lost because the foreigners came here with their own ideas, the colonialists, and ran roughshod right over the people of this country and built a country and built a society with high trust and with a certain type of morality that has won out in every single continent and in every single place it has ever tried. Why did the Europeans even bring it here? Because it had won in their countries as well. They were no longer pagans and druids and worshipped Thor and Loki. They were now worshipped Jesus Christ and were saved. They changed their society and they came here and they did the same. Whether you like that or not, whether you think that was good or not, that's what built this country and many countries from Australia to New Zealand to America to anywhere else you can think of. Because all those countries also had similar traditional belief systems, and they were pushed out gradually by a monotheistic tradition of Christianity because it builds better societies. 4, it's feminine. This is the reason we should not take on the old traditions of African spirituality and worshipping the ancestors. It's feminine, and femininity does not build great countries. It doesn't even build good families. And the African spirituality thing is very feminine. And one proof of this is that it's used a lot by enchanters, by modern day enchanters, or as they are popularly called, slay queens, which are basically whores that dress up in tight dresses, go to clubs, dance around with faces full of makeup and Botox, seduce men for money, and sleep with them for some sort of spiritual magic, some sort of magical practice to get money out of them and all sorts of other things. This is actually something people practice. You can call it modern day witchcraft or modern day occultism or whatever. It's not modern, it's as old as time. And the African spiritual beliefs, just like many beliefs all over the world, have had this sort of feminine energy that does not build countries and looks to break men and break society. That's why one of the reasons, my 4th reason, why we should not take on these ancient beliefs and not let them rise. These sangomas, if you see them, the way they dress in their cloths and the beads and things like that, you see the men become very feminine and the women become very masculine because it's an androgynous, sickening, disgusting sort of belief that tears apart families with low trust, that tears apart society and has lost already to more logical beliefs and has destroyed communities and families and creates a twisted morality. You see them, the men become feminine who practice these things, and the women become very masculine. And that's not a way. This androgynous society, you cannot build a society like that. And South Africa, if we want to build a society, should avoid it at all cost. We have a new course available for our boys. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18. It's called the Men of the Bible course, Manhood, Masculinity, and Becoming a Man. We take the boys through 12 stories of men from the Bible, pulling out negative lessons, positive lessons, and then one major lesson. We round off each lesson with notable points on doctrine and theology. We need our young men to become men. And the 5th reason we should not return back to worshipping ancestors and these spiritual beliefs, why they would be bad for our country. Every religion has a source, whether you think it's a man or a man being helped by some sort of spiritual entity, whether it's God, demons, or some sort of a God, whatever you want to call, or the universe. The religion either comes from a man or a man working alongside some sort of entity, right? So now, this religion of African spirituality, as people cling to it as if that's what makes them Africans, you must remember, just like any other religion, whether it was being a pagan in Europe or an Aztec in South America, it was all made up. It all came from somewhere. It all had a time where it began. So you do not have to cling to it as if you don't believe this, you're not an African. As a matter of fact, Christianity has built the best societies because it claims to be right from the beginning with the only God that exists, but it also sees the world in the most logical way and builds for high trust communities with a masculine energy, which is the force that moves the world forward and builds societies in a high trust society with a morality that allows people to thrive. It is made up, you can disconnect yourself from it, and all the things that scare you and that want to intimidate you into being part of it, whether it's people saying you will get sick or getting sick. I have seen many people overcome these things and be just fine by rejecting it, no matter what hardships they go through, and they're always better off having rejected it than being part of it. And as a country with it, we should reject it because it does not build great societies, families, individuals, or countries, because it is an inferior belief system that is at its foundation, at its base, decrepit, corrupted, and twisted, and does not work. Not really. In conclusion, Reject African spiritualism for yourself, for your family, and for South Africa. Take on far more logical belief systems, and I would say the best one for building a society, a family, and an individual is Christianity. I recommend Christianity. Here's a saying: even if I knew that tomorrow the world would go to pieces, I would still plant my apple tree. Martin Luther. The case is closed, my friend. African spirituality, worshipping the ancestors, witchcraft, paganism, druidism, Aztecism, whatever you want to call it, these things are inferior to the one true thing that has built societies and people, and in my view, that is Christianity. And if South Africa wants to thrive, politically or otherwise, we should reject this African spiritualism once and for all, and not see it rise as some sort of identity that people cling to. It was just made up, just like anything else. We can define today what it means to be African. We now have a course on Teachable. It's for boys between the ages of 10 and 18, about 12 men from the Bible, where we teach about manhood, masculinity, and becoming a man. Check it out.